90% of all Christian persecution deaths worldwide have occurred in Nigeria in the last 5 years.
Persecution deaths.
Persecution
so
deaths.
martyrdom.
Martyrdom.
90% of the world's Christian martyrs are in Nigeria.
Are in Nigeria for the last 5 years. And we're going to meet the same statistic again this year in 2025.
What kind of number is that? How many deaths are we talking about?
On average, it's been about 5,000 Christian deaths per year. This year, it's up to 7,000.
I am standing on the mass grave of 501 Christians, majority of whom are women and children that were slaughtered, literally slaughtered with swords and machetes. Some of them burned alive in their homes, and some of them who were babies, smashed on the wall, smashed on the ground with their brains spilled out completely, all for their faith in Jesus.
What is going on in Nigeria? So I woke up yesterday and we received a message from Donald Trump on Truth Social where he says, and I quote, "Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for the mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concerns." Now, what does that mean? So, being a country of particular concern means that the country is being flagged as a country with severe violation of religious freedom. And then he continued, "But that is not the least of it. When Christians or any such group is slaughtered, like it's happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide. But that's almost 90%. Something must be done. I am asking Congressman Riley Moore, together with Chairman Tom Cole and the House Appropriate Committee, to immediately look into this matter and report back to me. The United States cannot stand by why such atrocities are happening in Nigeria and numerous other countries. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian populations around the world." Now, what does this mean, and what is the validity of Trump's accusation against Nigeria? Well, this means that Nigeria has joined the ranks of countries like North Korea, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and China, Myanmar, countries with severe Christian persecution. Now, I'm one of those people that dislikes Donald Trump, but this one comment, this one tweet by Donald Trump, I think is probably the most important tweet he has ever tweeted in his life before. Because this tweet will save thousands of lives. And let me tell you why. The government of Nigeria have instituted a policy of hiding the amount of ethnic cleansing that is going on in Nigeria, specifically Christian community. Of course, it's not as simple as that, because proponents against this designation would say that, well, it's not only Christians that are getting killed, it's Muslims as well, which is true. There's a small amount of Muslims that are getting killed, and most of those Muslims are the ones that dare to stand in the way of the Fulani jihadist Muslims that are perpetuating this violence, and those that are collateral damage. Say if they come to a community that is populated by Christian, let's say 10,000 is Christian and maybe 100 is Muslim. They come in the community and they kill 10,000, and then they happen to kill 100 Muslims. And then the Nigerian government will like, oh, you see, it's not only Christians, there's Muslim among them, so therefore this is not a religious killing.
People claiming that there is no genocide of Christians in the nation. Information with facts can never be thwarted. You see people buried in hundreds and you say there is no genocide. What a wicked set of people. Agreed, there are people killed in other places for other reasons, but this one is very clear. and gradually is eating down to the south, southwest, southeast, and many so-called leaders for their personal interests are claiming it's not true, selling out their faith if they have it at all. Jesus said, when I come, will I find the faith? And we are standing here to say to Jesus, the faith will keep standing. I like us to pray for our brethren in Plateau State, in Benue State, that the Lord will keep them in the faith.
And the Nigerian government have this deal with Nigerian media organization where a lot of mainstream media in Nigeria are just an arm to the government. And if they don't follow what the government want, they will revoke their licenses. So to Nigerian government, it's unpatriotic to publish the number of killings that is going on in Nigeria against the Christian community. Of course, these killings have been going on for a very long time, but it's been sponsored by those in the government. So let me give you a brief history of what's going on so you get a full picture of when this genocide started, the history of it, just a brief history, and what's going on right now. So to be able to understand it, you have to understand the relationship between the Fulanese in Nigeria and the Nigerians as a whole. The Fulani is a tribe in Nigeria, about maybe 16% of the Nigerian population, or possibly less. The Fulanese are not indigenous to Nigeria. So there is this man named Usman Danfodio who belongs to the generation of wandering scholars who started settling in Hausa land since the 1300s and 1400s. So Hausa is one of the largest tribes in Nigeria. So the Fulani, using Muslim religion, found a way to infiltrate the Hausa tribe, and in such a way where the Israelis has infiltrated the American political system, they infiltrated the Fulani, the Hausas, in such a way that they told the Hausas that their leaders are corrupt. So what they need is Islam. So by that means, the Fulani took over the Hausas. So they formed this hierarchical system, which they call feudalism, where the Fulanis are the top of the societies, and then you have their foot soldiers, which are the Hausas, and their slaves are the Hausas. So then that's how the whole Sokoto Caliphate was formed. Of course, I'm just giving you a footnote of it, but just to drive to the point of the history of how this started. And now going toward the middle belt of Nigeria, there are various tribes, hundreds of tribes in those regions. So to get the Sokoto Caliphate, the Fulani used the Hausas. So then now they started calling them Hausa Fulani to invade a lot of communities in the middle belt Nigeria, murdering people, killing people to establish this Sokoto Caliphate. They were eventually stopped by a tribe of people in the middle belt. I think it's the Thieves, T-I-V. So the Thieves, they shot an arrow on Usman Danfodio, who was the patriarchy of the Sokoto Caliphate. They just shot a poison arrow at him, and he went back and ran back to Sokoto, and that's where he died. So the Fulani has always weighed this grudge against the Middle Belt people for stopping the Islamization of Nigeria. Now, fast forward to the 1960s and the Nigerian Civil War, where it was between the Biafrans and the Nigerians. And during that war, the Fulani, being the clever people they are, they used Nigeria, and they came out at the top of the society from that war. And they dominated Nigeria military architecture, their political system, their military system. So they understood the importance of that. And one thing a Fulani person would say is a Fulani never forgets. So now that they are in power and they have infiltrated every system of the government, even though the current administration of Nigeria is not a Fulani person, the previous one was. Most of the high-ranking military officers and the most powerful people in Nigeria that have all the weapons are Fulanis. So these killings that you're seeing is a continuation of the killing that started a long time ago. So they want to finish the job to Islamize Nigeria. So if somebody's telling you that a genocide against the Christian is not being carried out in Nigeria, they are lying to you, because it is. And the numbers and what is out there does not even tell you the numbers, because the government do not report the numbers. So Trump is not messing around. Today, he came out with another tweet. This one even more strongly worded than before. He said, if the Nigerian government continue to allow the killings of Nigeria, the US will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country, gun blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing those horrible atrocities. I am hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action if we attack. It will be fast, vicious, sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christian. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. Wow. So I think this message just warned Trump a third term if he would run by a lot of Nigerians in America. Because a lot of Nigerians have fled Nigeria because of how terrible the government is. And then you have people coming out and saying, well, this is all about oil and this is about mineral resources. And what those people don't understand, because most of them are stupid or they're trying to be intentionally manipulative. Nigerian governments have already collateralized their oil for the probably the next 30 years. Nigerian government are so corrupt that they collateralize their resources years in advance so that they can get loans to loot. And if you look on the ground, you wouldn't see any tangible infrastructures that was used by those loans, which is why this particular designation is going to be very biting to Nigeria, because Nigeria depends on loans from other countries to run. A lot of people think Nigeria have so many resources. Most of those resources that are on the northern part of Nigeria are controlled by those Fulani terrorists. They control that and they send that to China. They sell that to other countries. But those are not resources that can't be found anywhere else. If you're saying America is coming to Nigeria for their oil, when the richest man in Africa built his refinery, he was shocked to find out that that the Nigerian government have no oil for him. So he had to ship oil from the United States, from Texas, to his refinery in Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria. So the same people, if Nigeria have so much oil that America is coming to steal, why is Nigeria's biggest refinery getting oil from Texas? So those people have no idea what they're talking about. They know nothing about. They automatically think that whenever America share their concern about a country, has to be because of the resources of that country. Now, I will tell you why the United States is doing this. This is not purely altruistic. There is a benefit to America. And the benefit is, number one, Nigeria is being Islamified. And if you look at the last United Nations General Council meeting, you see the vice president of Nigeria by the name Kashim Shettima, even though he has link to Boko Haram terrorism when he started, because Boko Haram terrorism started in his state. Kashim Shettima was concerned about Palestine.
The people of Palestine are not collateral damage in a civilization searching for order. They are human beings, equal in worth, entitled to the same freedoms and dignities that the rest of us take for granted.
His concern was about Israel and Palestine, where more people have died in his state of origin than the people in Palestine. So this is the type of country Nigeria is, where they show concern they're showing a lot more concern about other countries than what is happening, even though something worse is happening in their own country. So America is doing this because by holding Nigeria accountable, you will have the biggest nation in Africa not falling into the hands of Islamic terrorism. And number two, they can get some concessions from Nigeria, because if you look at the Sahel countries are being taken over by a lot of coups, and U.S. had a big military base in Niger, and they were kicked out of that. So the Nigerian government, to get the United States to keep quiet, they might give America some concessions. Because Nigeria is a powder keg. Nigeria is a powder keg. Just to give you an idea, in Nigeria, the policing system is unlike anywhere in the world. It's like something you would see from a communist society, where the people that are policing the community are from another state. It's just like in Texas, if the police department in Texas is a bunch of people from Minnesota or from New Hampshire, or even worse, let's say people in, because Nigeria is so diverse, just say people in Texas are being policed by people from Iran. That is how crazy the police system of Nigeria is. That is why that's why you see so much corruption, so much killings. Most of the killings is being performed by the police and the military. And get this, let's go back to the current designation, proof of designation. So if you speak to those people that live in those communities that are being cleansed, they will tell you that the military works in collaboration with those terrorist organizations, those Fulani terrorists. Because before, maybe one day or 2 days before they attack, the military goes to those communities first and take their weapons away. In Nigeria, you're not supposed to have weapons like AK-47, but you are allowed to have maybe a shotgun. So they go there, they take their weapons, their shotgun, their knife, and then the following day, those same people, those same communities get attacked by Fulani Islamic terrorists. So tell me, isn't there collaboration? The president before the current president of Nigeria, he's a Fulani. To him, cattle, like cows, has more value than human lives. If they capture people for terrorism in Nigeria back then, even now, they have this amnesty program. I'm not kidding, an amnesty program for terrorists that have killed thousands of Christian communities. And not only do they release those terrorists because they swear on the Quran that they will never do it again, they integrate those terrorists to the military. I'm not kidding. This is true. Look it up. Google it. They have this amnesty program where they integrate the terrorists that have murdered communities, that has cleansed communities, are integrated. Not only communities, that murdered military people and security officers, they integrate them back in the community, in the military, and give them weapons and send them loose in the same community or even southern part of Nigeria. That is why even the southern and southeast part of Nigeria, they have a lot of unknown gunmen. That's what they call them. People just Fulani marauders, just murdering people. And not only that, in those communities that have been cleansed, the houses are burned, the women are raped, the men are killed, children are killed. It's cleansed. And then if you come back a month or two later, you see a whole new community of Fulanis in those same communities that was cleansed. And these people are from the Sahel, especially from Guinea, because the Fulanis are all over like northern Africa, northern sub-Saharan Africa. They're indigenous to Futajelan in Guinea. So all these people, they bring them in from other part of western Africa and to occupy those communities. So they're slowly taking over the middle belt of Nigeria, and they're intruding into the east and the southwest Nigeria. And because these politicians, because they're so greedy and they don't want anything to disrupt the inflow of cash that they are hoarding for their families. Most of their families are not even in Nigeria. They're in England and America. They don't even care about the populations of Nigeria. They're not invested in Nigeria. They don't want anything to disrupt their cash flow, which is the reason why Donald Trump proclamation is very, very important. Because what this allows the United States to do is to list those Nigerian politicians and those people that are carrying out this terrorism or people that are complacent to it in the watch list and seize their assets. Because most of their assets are not in Nigeria. It's in foreign countries. So Donald Trump, I mean, if he wants to send the troops to Nigeria, which I don't think he will, I mean, the furthest he will go is probably send a drone to bomb something, But I think his threat alone is very significant. And the United States still have a lot of tools like sanctions and but for me, I think he's going on the right direction. This will definitely stop the Islamization or be a good step in the Islamization in the stop of the Islamization of Nigeria, which is a valid concern. And you can tell that the Nigerian government are nervous. And if Nigerians opposition parties are together, because the current government has tried to make Nigeria a one-party state, if the opposition government is smart, this is an opportunity to topple the current Nigerian government, because the current Nigerian government is not a legitimate government. It's a government that rigged the election to get into power. It is not a credible, the current president is not credible. He was a former drug lord in America. There are records to prove it. Everything about him is fake. Google it. Everything about him is fake. So the current government in Nigeria is illegitimate. I'm not the type of person that will support a regime change, but in this case, I'll make an exception because Nigeria is a monstrosity of a country. People are dying daily because of this government and the Islamization of Nigeria. People are suffering. Imagine a country where the current president, is a former drug lord, and the vice president is a suspected funder of terrorism. That is the country of Nigeria.